Hello and welcome. This is Impact Yobe, your weekly roundup of news and activities in the pride of the Sahel. My name is Femi Akonde. Thank you for joining us.
The recent test landing of the Damaturu International Cargo Airport is like a dream come true for residents of Yobe State. They expressed delight and optimism over the inaugural test landing of the Damaturu International Cargo Airport, noting the reality of the establishment of the airport is a growth to the economy of the state. As a way of testing and standardization of the runway, 2 airplanes lifted and landed at the airport.
The security is about 3 or 4 folds. So we make sure we are collaborating with the security agencies. We met yesterday around 3 o'clock with all the security agencies, and we drew out a program of giving a complete security arrangement for the airport. So there is no fear of any security here.
The happiest time of our life. For the first time, a flight has landed in Yobe State. We are fortunate to witness such an august event, and we are praying it will be the beginning of more things to be landed. Honestly, the dividend of democracy, we have saw it now. Our governor has tried, and we are also grateful to the Nigerian government for assisting us to make this fruitful event that took place.
Rural communities, so it's tremendous. We have really appreciate what he has started, and we pray for Almighty Allah to give him the zeal to perform better of what he's doing now.
And the actualization of the campaign promises, because you can't even summarize it in a minute. But I am telling you that he's just starting the journey. There are a lot of projects and programs that the success will unfold that will transform the Yobe State. Not only from what it used to be or from the ravages of the insurgency, but I'm telling you, it's going to rank among the good states in Nigeria.
We are very excited about what is happening here. We witnessed the first testing landing in the Yobe State. Especially, it will improve our agricultural activities in the state.
Yobe State Governor tries to bridge the gap.
As a way of showing love and expressing appreciation to Governor Mai Malabuni for clocking 1 year in office, selected students across secondary and primary schools in Yobe State recently recited poems to mark the 1-year anniversary of Governor Buni. The students who were drawn from Potiskum, Nguru, Kujba, Damaturu and Geshua local governments say the unprecedented and innovative reforms in the education sector motivate them to appraise Governor Buni through poetry.
He discharges his initiatives towards education with zeal and enthusiasm. Who? My governor, His Excellency Honorable Mai Malabu. In his first year in office, he took to feign excellent examination piece for WAEC, NECO, NAPTEF, MBIS to all Yobe State students. Whenever I take the issue of education to my governor, he is ever ready to respond and execute instantly without hesitation to the amount it costs. This clearly shows his concern to education. This statement have been expressed several times by our Honorable Commissioner of Education, Dr. Sani Idris, in different occasions. Our father is achievement-oriented. How? In his bid to transform education, he adopted an applied extension exercise for SS3 students during the holidays. In his zealous moves, a 2-hour extra lessons is organized for SS3 students daily after normal school hours, and the teachers are paid for these extra lessons. He quickly understands that a stitch in time saves 9. As such, he organized extra lessons via radio and online to assist students, particularly SS3, during the coronavirus pandemic.
Let me use this opportunity to register my heartfelt gratitude and sincere appreciation to my governor, Honorable Mai Malabuni Churomongujba, the Executive Governor of Yobe State, on the occasion of his 1-year achievement in education sector. As the Executive Governor of Yobe State, His Excellency deserves recommendation for keeping his eyes on the ball for his positive transformation in education sector. The numerous achievements have been recorded under this administration. Among them are supply of textbooks and other instructional materials to all schools in the state. Most of our schools do not have enough textbooks to conduct research and other academic activities. His Excellency identify this problem and supply our school with textbooks and other instructional material to all basics and secondary education in the state. Supply of furniture to all schools in the state.
In education, my governor is a visionary and an elect of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In his zeal to improve the quality of education, he took to infrastructural development and expansion. How? He established 6 model primary and junior secondary schools across the state to increase access to quality basic education. The horizon speaks. Days of quality education are here. What more?
On the 29 May 2019, the Governor Malabuni made the following declaration. In line with our commitment to reform the education sector, I hereby declare a state of emergency on basic and secondary education in the state to build a solid, vibrant, and robust foundation for the development of education. Government will, as a matter of deliberate policy, continue to provide the necessary support to move education in the state to greater height. As a result of the declaration of the state of emergency on basic and secondary education, an education summit was organized and convened in Damaturu. Seasoned and experienced educationists delivered papers on topical issues on how to revitalize the sector.
In Gujba local government area of Yobe State, more than 2,000 households who are largely farmers have been provided with agricultural inputs to support their farming activities during the rainy season. Governor Malabuni, who was represented by the Commissioner for Humanitarian and Disaster Management, pointed that the intervention are for Gujba and Kanama communities in the state. He stated that the Governor Buni's administration would continue to give priorities to the agricultural sector in the state.
Regional stabilization strategy of the Lake Chad Basin entails looking after the states that were ravaged by the Boko Haram. The Lake Chad Basin comprises of 6 member nations: Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, Niger, Central Africa, and Libya. But for the purposes of regional stabilization, the 4 countries came together. We met in Chad and Niger and agreed that there is need to intervene in these 4 states, 4 countries that were ravaged by Boko Haram. So in Nigeria, 3 states of the northeast were picked: Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe, which we refer to as the Bay states. Within Yobe, 2 communities were identified for intervention, and that is Buniadi and Kanama. So the purpose of this is to see how we can improve on the livelihoods of the people of Buniadi, and subsequently we'll also move to Kanama, maybe in a different form. It may not necessarily be in agriculture, but that is the purpose of the mission. And so the state government is collaborating with the UNDP to deliver this message.
Speaking with journalists, Commissioner for Agriculture urged the beneficiaries to make judicious use of the farming inputs.
They should make use of this farm input judicially, as it has been given on time before the onset of the season. And secondly, to make sure that they work with the extension agents, agricultural extension agents, for technical advices, so that they will be able to see the enhanced yield. It has to be linked with the Ministry of Agriculture for the seed test and with the National Seed Council to make sure that we give the farmers the best seed. So it has to be in phases, and we have to create awareness to the farmers, the importance of good seeds, good varieties, so that it will not be misused.
Yobe State government has distributed COVID-19 palliatives to the elderly, physically challenged persons and youths in Potiskum town. According to the SEMA Executive Secretary, the aim is to aid those whose sources of livelihood were cut off due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's a subcommittee on palliative distribution. So part of His Excellency's, the Executive Governor of Yobe State directive is to identify high-risk LGS, identify vulnerable households who are directly or indirectly affected by this COVID-19 pandemic, and periodically give them some palliatives so that they can use it and sustain their livelihood while the temporary lockdown, border closure, and other preventive measures are on ground. So we are here to flag up the activities in Pochiskum local government area, where we are targeting about 410 households. The targeted beneficiaries are in 6 categories. 1 is women-headed household. 2, families of the 471 deceased households, that people that died in around May and April during the assessment. 3, the disabled. 4, youth-headed households. 5, elderly who are above 50 years of age. Then women groups and youth groups who are directly or indirectly affected by this pandemic. At our border closure, most of our youth, especially in the high-risk LGS, they are into transport business. And there's lockdown, border lockdown, they don't move their cars, they don't do the transport activities, and high lorries and high trailers are not coming to the town. They hardly find the normal job that they do to put food on their tables. So in that case, youth are also included into the palliatives of His Excellency Honorable Malabuni.
The Chief Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, has applauded Yobe State Governor Mai Malabuni for the provision of additional land for construction of an operational base in the state. The Air Force Chief expressed optimism that this would positively facilitate operations of the force in dealing with any threats posed by Boko Haram. Michael Oshoma reports.
A major challenge in the fight against the insurgents in the northeast is the lack of a strategic operational base for the Nigerian Air Force. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, is visiting Yobe State for the second time to see for himself the level of work done in the site so far. The Yobe State government hopes this has been addressed with its provision of a large portion of land to the Nigerian Air Force for the construction of its operational base close to the state airports.
I believe will go a long way in making it easier for us to respond to the threats that are emanating from some of the areas of Yobe State, especially with regards to terrorists and coming to attack some of the communities here. We are very confident that with the facilities that we have now, with your support, I believe that we'll be able to respond faster. We'll be able to support our comrades, the ground forces, and make sure that we are there on time. And this will translate into greater security for not only the people of Yobe State, indeed the Northeast. We are working very closely with the Air Task Force Commander in Maiduguri to see what additionally we need to do to make sure that we make the place even much better than what it is right now.
We can't thank you enough for the good things you are doing. Nowadays, even conventional wars cannot be won without air power. And whenever we call on you that this is what we are facing as a challenge, we are facing imminent attack, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, you deploy aircraft, and that will be good. Let me once again use this opportunity to commend you and to thank Mr. President, the Commander-in-Chief, for all the support. Without your efforts, I don't think we can be able to be here today. This is Damatru, the headquarters of Yobe State. Our people conducted their Salah Eid prayer yesterday peacefully, unlike in previous years when we used to have attacks and counter-attacks, attacks upon attacks. Today we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel. We know the moon moves slowly, but by daybreak it crosses the sky. And what we are seeing on ground now is reassuring that sooner than expected, this criminality will come to an end. And we are praying for you, our people are praying for you, and our people are grateful. And let me conclude by thanking you most sincerely on behalf of the people of Yobe State. Thank you most sincerely for all the commitment, for all the support, and for all by standing with us throughout these trying moments.
He expressed his satisfaction at the newly constructed helipad site and the additional land given to the Air Force by the Yobe State government.
I'm very excited that His Excellency has supported the Air Force and has provided us additional land area that we are putting up certain facilities that will no doubt add a lot of value to what we are doing.
Meanwhile, the International Cargo Airport in Damaturu is almost ready for commercial use. After the completion of the operational base for the Air Force in Yobe State, it is expected that the coordinating air support in the war against insurgency will be a lot easier.
Welcome to the interview segment on Impact Yobe. Our guest today is the Honorable Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Dr. Abubakar Garba Iliya. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
A brand new ministry, and what's that mandate that you have been handed by the governor in this ministry?
Thank you very much for this question. First, you must have been aware that we've been undergoing insurgency for the past 10 years or so. And in the course of this insurgency, the Boko Haram has devastated a lot of communities in Yobe State. One of the things that came under the governor's program, His Excellency Malabuni, in addition to the basic priority areas of education, agriculture and natural resources, healthcare delivery, is youth empowerment. The closest is security. But it is the belief of this administration that if you resolve the issues of education, agriculture and natural resources, healthcare delivery, and youth empowerment, you will be resolving the issues of security. So the essence of establishing the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, therefore, is to formulate policy guidelines for humanitarian activities in Yobe State.
Okay. So what are some of the prospective projects that your ministry has embarked on and intends to embark on?
As a matter of fact, the humanitarian affairs and disaster management entails issues that have to do with people being displaced from their communities, students or children out of school, children being orphaned all over the states. In fact, the displacement has taken a lot of our communities into neighboring states and even neighboring countries of Niger, for example. So the main challenge is to return these people back to their communities and pick their pieces so as they go back to their normal lives. And therefore, this requires that you, first of all, provide the basic facilities, health, water, education, schools, health, etc. Not only that, you begin with the humanitarian activities, providing them with shelter, the required foodstuff, and so on and so forth. But this is to say that certain things do not happen after. So we'll have to find ways of mitigating the occurrence of these humanitarian disasters. And so we will have to start looking at preparedness, response, recovery, and to some extent, resettlement. These are mandates.
And then, you know, in terms of disaster, not all are man-made. We also have natural disasters too, like floods and some other kind of environmental disasters. How prepared and equipped is the ministry to handle this?
As we are aware, it is a new ministry. Yeah. We are trying to set the standards for all this. Of course, human or man-made disasters do occur. Natural disasters such as flood, earthquakes, and so on do happen. So the ministry from onset is trying to put in structure the required responses, the required staff. And I think that is what we're building on now. Build their capacities to be able to cater for this kind of emergencies as they occur.
Okay, those that you're resettling, do you also maybe build homes for them, set up businesses?
Of course.
Apart from handouts that you get?
Of course, bringing them back to life means you have to provide all the necessary requirements, including building their houses, building their capacities to start businesses, in fact, new businesses. A lot of new businesses under the current administration is in the pipeline. You recall that sometimes in December last year, we just passed out about 680 youth in Damaturu here for paint production and painting. These are some of the things we need to do to build the capacities of the communities, including the youth and women.
Yeah. But you know, when a lot of them flee their communities, bringing them back is very difficult because they begin to even get a little comfortable wheresoever they have gone to seek refuge. How do you convince and persuade them to return to their main communities?
That is true, but as a Yobian, wherever you find yourself, if you think we are comfortable there, we don't mind you staying there, but we want you to be an ambassador of Yobe State, anywhere you are. But the ones that will come back, the ones that will intend to return, we'll bring them back in their pieces, and we make sure we make them comfortable in their former communities.
How do you then, I believe maybe there'll be a synergy with other ministries, because we understand that the population of Yobe State, a lot of them are farmers, and then they will have to return to farms. They'll need seedlings, fertilizers, and all of that. Is there any synergy with other ministries that handle all of this to ensure that these people, the vulnerable people, get this kind of assistance?
Yeah, one of the mandates of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management is to coordinate the activities of all the MDS as it relates to disaster management, or as it relates to humanitarian activities and disaster management. Therefore, we are talking to all the ministries, including the agencies. We are working in synergy, and whatever program that comes through the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry will be channeled through the appropriate ministry to handle. This we are doing.
How about non-governmental organizations, NGOs? There are lots of them in this region working to provide relief material. What kind of interaction do you have with them to ensure that, yes, their activities are also monitored and even those handouts get directly to the people that are in dire need of them?
The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management is responsible for coordinating all the national or local and international NGOs in the state. So the point of entry of any NGO to Yobe State now, from now going forward, is the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management. Of course, some of them have started coming. I think that is the beginning. So we're going to register all the NGOs. We would like to also make it available in our data bank, that any of the NGOs that comes in, we know where you are, we know where you are working, and we know your capacity. And that is what we have started doing now.
Okay, in the past, before this ministry was set up, some of these people, displaced persons, complained that those relief materials don't get to them. Now that there's a ministry in charge of all of that, what's that mechanism to monitor that process of taking relief materials, the deliverables to the people?
You know, there are some agencies that will fall under the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. One of them is the SEMA, the State Emergency Management Agency. And I think we are working in synergy with such agencies to ensure that our people get the delivery they desire, including the ones that will come through the NGOs.
Mm-hmm. So lastly, at the end of the day now, with the new mandate and all the work you have been doing, when you look, how would you measure success, or what would you say the ministry would have done right to now measure that, yes, we have really fulfilled our mandate and we're taking it a notch higher?
From beginning, we are going to set a target. And this target will be allocated timelines. So at the end of the year, we'll evaluate ourselves and make sure we know where we are and we know where we're going. This we have started doing from the beginning, from the onset of the ministry.
That's our conversation with the Honorable Commissioner for Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management in Yobe State, telling us how the ministry is coordinating activities in Yobe State in terms of humanitarian assistance and even the disaster management. Thank you very much for your time on the program. And that's our package this week. Until next week, when we come your way again with fresh news and updates from the Pride of the Sahel. The program has been Impact Yobe, and my name is Femi Akonde. See you next time.